Thank you. Are you set up on the Wi-Fi?
Hi! Thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Holding Court with the Empress of West Hollywood. My name's Enoch Miller, your Empress of WeHo, and thank you so much for being with us today! Yay! We want to say a special thank you to everyone here at GayLifeLA.com for helping make this possible, as well as Kings Road Apartment Homes and all this amazing space you see here today. We have an extra special guest with us today. We have Shaan Dasani, and we're so happy to have him here to talk about some amazing things he's doing with the acting, television, film industry that you will not want to miss. So thank you so much for being here today, Shaan.
Thank you, Enoch.
It's so exciting. Unfortunately, Valerie Chow from Thirsty Tiger TV wasn't able to make it. She'll be on at a later date, but she's like crazy busy right now with production, so we totally send our love to her, and like we'll see her later. But we'll talk.
Valerie is great, by the way.
She's fantastic.
She's amazing, yeah.
And it's really great. So you're originally from North Carolina, up out there, out east.
I hear the southern
accent. I only did it for fun, yeah, for flair.
Yeah.
And your family's originally from India, and so you're Indian American here. And what was it like growing up in the East Coast compared to now living here on the West Side?
Well, you know what's funny? I always say I'm from the East Coast. I rarely ever tell people I'm from the South.
Oh.
And but most people are like, North Carolina's the South. It's not the East Coast. I'm like, wait, but it depends, right?
Depends.
It is. It's both. It's really both.
It is. It's smack there in the middle. I mean, it's Southern living, higher up Northeast area.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I remember. Well, since you did the accent, right? I remember I was like 6 years old. And I was going to school, and I would hear the Southern accent, with my friends and whatnot. And I thought, something registered in my brain. I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, I don't think I should sound like that. Like, that was a conscious thought. And I was like, okay. So I started listening out for other accents.
Oh,
and
really?
Somewhere along the way, whatever you're hearing now, like, sounds less like North Carolina, maybe more like East Coast, New York, or whatever.
I could totally see maybe kind of Brooklyn-y without the thick, like, I'm not even a butcher of Brooklyn now. I know I can do it. But, like, I can totally see it like a New Yorker style. I mean, without that thick, weird, like, drawl they have, where they kind of make it sound like I don't even know how to. It's like the Cockney of Northern America. Yeah. But I mean, I can totally see it. So, growing up for you was probably very different from obviously the heritage you have back there. Was there a lot of crossover between your Indian culture and just American culture, or did they kind of blend very easily?
No, I mean, they definitely didn't blend easily for me. I mean, kid growing up as an Indian American, child of immigrants, and I have a big family in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So a lot of, like, when I grew up, right, we were in a small 3-bedroom house. It was my grandparents, my parents, 2 of my aunts, my uncle, and then I had another aunt and 2 cousins, like, literally down the road, and then 2 sisters, and we were just in the house together up until I was about 8 years old. And after that, my parents and I moved out just 5 minutes away. We were in a small town,
Super
so
close.
we were always around family. Family values were a big thing. I mean, I grew up with very deep and strong family values, and I think just going to school, there was a lot of, like, language was different, like little things. It was always little things. It was like cauliflower, right? So the word for cauliflower, which I guess I really loved cauliflower as a kid, was in Sindhi, which is the regional dialect from the part of India that my dad is from. The word for cauliflower was gobi.
Gobi, okay.
And I would go to, I remember I was like in 1st grade, and I went and I wanted gobi. And I would tell my teacher, I want some gobi. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was pointing at the cauliflower, like, why don't you understand what this thing is? So there were, like, just things like that growing up when I was little, that's the innocence of childhood.
Yes.
And as I grew older and was trying to navigate junior high and high school, I think there was a lot of assimilating. Like, I really wanted to assimilate. I didn't want to stand out. I didn't want to be different from everybody else, because North Carolina, the part of North Carolina that I grew up, it wasn't that it was that there weren't that many South Asians, which there weren't. There weren't that many of anybody else other than a lot of white kids.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
So I think for me there was a lot of, I wanted to blend in. I didn't want to stand out too much, and I think the awareness and awakening and embracing my own identity happened college and onwards.
Okay, and that's honestly a lot of that happens too with kids. I mean, kids are like sponges. I mean, you put them in an environment and they automatically just start soaking up that culture around them automatically. I mean, was it did your parents, like, were they speaking one language at home and then another language outside of home, or was it just kind of transitioned based on just conversation at the home, or was it kind of very specific? Because, like, my grandmother is Hispanic, and so a lot of times when you go to her house and family was there, it was Spanish all the time.
Yeah.
And then you, like, would switch outside. Otherwise, I mean, it was kind of like you could do a little bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, it was very similar to that. When my grandparents were around, like, they spoke English, but they preferred us to speak Sindhi.
Yeah.
And so we would speak Sindhi with my grandparents, but with my parents, it was usually English.
Oh, got it.
And then what we did is, because my dad has 6 brothers and sisters.
Oh, wow.
And when I started having younger cousins, like, the first language that I spoke was Sindhi.
Got it.
And that would be the first language we would speak with my younger cousins. So it would kind of be like this, if we're talking to a little kid, which was so not intimidating. Like, I can totally butcher this language, and this baby isn't going to know the difference, right? But, like, I was somehow better at speaking Sindhi with the baby than I was with my grandmother and my grandfather, because they knew when I would fumble.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and
they call you on it.
They were loving. They were very loving.
They were gentle.
Yeah, totally.
And so you're going through school and everything with that. When did you decide to really take the step to come out here to Los Angeles? Because, I mean, it's a big transition going from one side of the country all the way to the other side. I mean, it's a huge step. Really, what was the key factor in you wanting to kind of come out here and explore western area of living? Yeah, the West Coast area.
Yeah, for me, I think a lot of my personal journey is involved with that decision. So I knew from a young age that I wasn't, like, even though I had all these cousins and I had 2 sisters, I knew I wasn't like my siblings. So I grew up female-bodied, and I was told as a kid, oh, you're a tomboy and this, that. So I felt comfortable that there was a thing. I was like, okay, I'm a tomboy. So I understood that.
Something made sense for it.
Yeah, and when I was younger, that was okay. That was fine. It was socially acceptable, I guess, to be a tomboy. And the older I got, I thought, this quote-unquote phase that I'm in isn't really going away. And I was looking to escape. I was really looking to escape, because I didn't know anyone who was openly queer. Yes. Up until I was probably 22 or 23.
And that doesn't surprise me, especially from a place like North Carolina. Yeah. But even though just 10, 15 years ago, there isn't very many openly queer people that were out in the public eye that really a lot of kids looked up to as inspiration.
Totally. Yeah, you're so right. This was like early internet days, so, like, I really didn't know. I didn't know too much about how to find my people, but I had a feeling my people were in either New York or California. True. So I started applying to film school. Okay. I became interested in production, in the production world. So I was applying to film school, and I didn't get into any of my East Coast schools, and I got into 2 of my West Coast schools. Okay. So I came out to Southern California and really just loved it. And then there was this, how do you explain now to your family that you want to leave home and move to the West Coast? Because nobody did that in my family.
Well, and especially because it's so family-oriented and you guys are all together. So I can totally see that being hard. What was the initial reaction of your parents when you said, hey, I want to come out to LA?
It wasn't just I want to come out to LA, it was that I want to come out to LA and be a filmmaker. Yeah. And they thought I was nuts. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, nobody does that. And my dad's an entrepreneur, business person. Okay. And it's they're in a family business together. Yes. So my uncles, aunts, they're all in business together. And so I'm here doing this super not practical career. So it was it was a huge family conversation. I remember my grandparents had a conversation with me, and my grandfather was like, I don't think this is a good idea. And this was for me pre-transition, so I'm trans, for your audience who might not know that. My grandfather, I remember he said to me, you're a girl, and you're going to be out there by yourself, and we don't know if this is a good idea.
So they were just more worried about you being alone without anyone, like any family to kind of, if you needed help, for them to kind of be there to help you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
there's a lot of, they thought about safety, and it's probably, it's a natural thing, I think. True. For folks who love you to think about your safety and your well-being. My dad was the type of person who always followed his heart. Okay. And he always believed in a person needs to follow their heart and really listen to their heart. And so he was supportive.
That's amazing.
And he I think he fielded a lot of the family questions and pushback, and I remember he told me, he was like, look, you have to know something, that if this is what you want, you need to do it 110%. You've got to just go for it. And also, once I came, my first weekend of film school.
Okay.
So I went to Chapman, which is in Southern California.
Oh, that's a cute place too. That's a really nice place to go to.
Great school. I really had a wonderful education over there. The first week or 2 weeks in the film school. So first semester, it's like we're making projects. We get together in teams with our fellow students and working on projects. And I got paired with 3 other cis men, straight cis men, right? And me being the only female-bodied, female-presenting person in the group, right. I felt like I'm not being heard.
Yeah.
My ideas, whatever it is. And I remember I was really upset about it. I told my dad, he said, you're going to have to, he was like, it's sad, but it's true. This is the way the world works. As a woman, you're going to have to work harder, like way harder than any man. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. And it's sad, but the more that you realize that, the faster you realize that, the better it'll be for you.
Really?
And,
wow.
And I knew what he was saying wasn't something that he did.
Right.
But he knew that.
Right.
He had seen it because he works. His older sister, was in the business with him, and and he's a father who had 3 daughters to raise growing up. Like he always wanted us to feel as empowered as possible, but he didn't want to sugarcoat what the experience was going to be.
Yeah. At least he was, I mean, it's worse when a parent's not direct and honest with you about that, and you go into it with these high expectations, and then it's like, the world is not what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's never what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, totally.
So you get into film school, and you kind of come to this realization that, okay, I'm going to have to work my ass off and work twice as hard. What, going into it that time forward, did it really just change your perspective of what you wanted to do, or did it just put a fire under your ass to really just go for it and do everything you could be?
Both.
Okay.
and I also think I did something for myself.
Okay.
I went up to the teacher and I said, look, I think it was the 5th week of school. I was like, you see the projects that I'm doing?
Yeah.
And he was, he always told me after class, he was like, you're consistently doing really good work. And I said, I obviously appreciate that feedback, but I said, I need to switch groups.
Yeah.
This isn't good for me.
Yeah.
And I can do the work. I know that I'm confident in my abilities, but I need to be around people that are going to be more supportive to the journey, right, to the creative process. And I think that's important. Not just to say, okay, yes, this is the way the world is, and I have to suck it up and deal with it.
Right.
I felt like I could also ask for what I needed in that moment.
Well, no, I mean, I think the fact that it was easier to do that because of the fact that you had good work, the teacher recognized your talent, and then there was you were actually already doing what you needed to be doing, and they were just like, yeah, these guys are just assholes, which is true with a lot of men. We know. But so, okay, you've kind of really gotten into this role. I mean, you're doing a lot of behind the scenes work. When did you decide to move to do more in front of camera stuff, and actually be on the screen instead of behind it, creating all these great, because you've done over 30 different productions, which is, first of all, amazing. That is not an easy feat to do.
Thank you.
So over 30 productions, you've been behind the scenes, directing and putting together and helping to produce. So now you're wanting to actually go in and be in front of the screen. What was that interesting switch of events like?
Yeah, so it was 2013.
Okay.
And I had finally allowed myself to embrace my truth.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? It's not your word is not tomboy. Your word is not lesbian. Your word is trans man. And it was finally when I realized that that's where I was sitting, and allow myself to transition. And I was lucky enough to be able to transition. That I'd worked as a unit production manager on a feature film called Miss India America, which is on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
It was kind of towards the end of 2013. We were in production for that. Wonderful actors in that show: Tia Sakar, Hannah Simone, Kosha Patel. Wonderful actors, and that was the last project that I did. One of the last projects that I did before I started making the move to on-camera work.
Okay.
So I just it's like something went off in my mind. I was like, nothing is stopping you anymore. You wanted to act for all these years, and you can actually go for it now.
Yeah.
You can audition for the characters that you feel comfortable portraying.
Right.
And so by the spring of 2014, I sat with a good friend of mine, and we were editing something together, and I was telling him, hey, I want to get into acting, and he said, you've been saying this for years. So tomorrow when you come for our editing session that we're going to do, bring a couple pairs of clothes. I've got a camera. We're going to take your headshots. I'm going to show you Actors Access, and I'll show you how to post your profile and start booking work. We did that, and a week later, I booked my first theater gig.
Wow.
For the Young Playwrights Festival, which happens every summer here in LA.
Wow.
And I was like, this is it. This is the journey. This is the path you're on. So I did a little bit of theater work, and I think after the third theater gig that I did, I was like, okay, you really need to. You're gonna go broke if you keep doing this, because theater in LA it doesn't pay the bills.
It doesn't, and it's tough. It really is. And we'll go into a little bit more about the rest of your acting and TV and film, as well as the theater, because I mean it's really interesting. And I mean, quite frankly, I mean it's so true when you actually own who you are and you are so comfortable being you. Everything just works out the way it's supposed to. Yeah. The fact that, I mean, people recognize you for you, instead of like you just trying to portray this person that everyone thinks they want you to portray. And it's just like so amazing. So many times I've heard people say, as soon as I was just me, everything was easier. Everything kind of worked out better. Everything was just kind of flowed, and I wasn't like pushing against the grain. I wasn't fighting against everything and myself all the time.
Yeah, it's so true. But it's like and it sounds so easy.
And it's not.
It sounds
it's
so.
not.
It's like, oh, I just decided, and then boom.
Yeah.
Like I woke up and things came raining down in my
Yeah.
direction. But no, it does take time.
Yes,
and it really
for sure.
takes. I think more than anything, like for me, what made all the difference in the world was having community.
Yes,
like
exactly.
having like friends, even not like tons of people, but just even like those one or two people that made me feel like things will be okay.
And the nice thing is, I mean, you're in a especially LA, but you're in a community right around here where is very open to supporting people for whatever they want to be, and I'm very big in embracing that culture. And so, I mean, especially around here, we all are crazy as hell, but I mean, we do come together and support each other, and I do really love West Hollywood, also Los Angeles. I mean, this community is very big on supporting each other, especially when it's someone who's trying to discover who their identity is, whether it's gay, straight, bi, transgender, everything in between. I mean, you can find someone here anywhere that's always big on trying to help you support you. And I really do appreciate that so much about our community around here. One thing I'm really excited for that you have coming up is Agent of Change, which is a really exciting, it's going to be a series about, it's this like kind of GoldenEye meets like spy detectiving, and it's like James Bondy. I love it. And kind of like these really sultry characters that you have in there, and it's this very fun concept where the lead protagonist just happens to be a transgender man, but he's a secret agent, and he's kind of got the whole spy thing going. So how did this project come to being in your head, and kind of what really progressed you to getting it to where it is at the point today? Because it's not done with funding. We'll talk a little bit about that, but kind of what brought the concept into fruition for you?
Man, when you talk about being around community, this is a community, like minds that came together, and it's like something was born over a lunch that I had with 3 other trans men, and 2 of which I'm currently working with to create this project.
Oh, fantastic.
And the third is coming on.
They're reeling them in. They're reeling them in.
Yeah. So we met each other at Outfest.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah, we met each other up at Outfest. So Mickey Delmonico, who we ended up co-writing this together. We'd known each other for a little while. Okay. And him and I got together with these 2 other guys for lunch, and we were like just kind of spitballing and talking about masculinity. Right. And we were talking about, media and shows and things that we had watched, and we were all kind of like, somehow we got on to James Bond. We were like, yeah, James Bond, like, I love James Bond. I used to watch that stuff when I was growing up. And then we were like, we started really like dissecting the character and this kind of like male machismo like icon, and we were like starting to pick it apart a little bit, and we were like, well, what if there was like a trans James Bond type of character? Like that'd be really freaking cool.
But it is honestly the epitome of what you think of quote unquote manly is this kind of like suave guy that comes, and it's almost like the Dos Equis guy, where he's just like, he just has the great hair, he has the perfect jawline, he just comes up and he's just like, so, and just like all the panties drop.
Yeah.
But it's basically that, and I can totally see how that can be like portrayed, as everyone kind of sees that as the stereotypical man for what they want as like the badass.
Oh yeah, I mean, I totally felt that as a kid, you know, like, and I used to watch the Bond stuff with my dad, and like, I could see that he, you know, he bought into the same thing, and it's like, of course, it's like very, you know, there's a sex appeal there that's undeniable, but we're like, how can we do this in a way that's in line with the conversation we're having today around masculinity?
Right.
And we weren't having these conversations in the 40s and 50s.
No, not at all.
Not at all. But also, like, when it comes to you know, how our male characters are portrayed in regards to their relationships, how they treat other people, how they treat women in relationships, and we're like, how can we do this in a way that actually speaks to a new direction for what we want to see in media, in mainstream media.
And it is true. I mean, you do see a lot of times the roles, especially gender roles, especially nowadays, are being so blurred because, quite frankly, I mean, it's getting more and more to where it's like, it really doesn't even matter anymore. I mean, you are who you identify, that's it, done, move on, and everything else is starting to kind of fall in between. And I'm really excited to see this whole concept of people taking these older dated kind of stuff where it's like there's an expected ideal of what we've seen in the past, but you guys are taking something like that and really changing it to be like, hey, no, let's change the conversation, let's make it something fresh, new, and different, and really show people that it doesn't have to be this one specific type of thing. It can be so much more and so many other different things with it. And so I love the fact that you guys are taking this and really kind of showing masculinity isn't just defined by what is between your pants and is what is like all the stuff with that. I mean, it's so much more than that. And this is so exciting to see what you guys are doing with these characters. And so you kind of got this together. You guys are doing this through Seed and Spark. And if you want to go there, it is agentofchange.com.
Yeah, agentofchangeshow.com.
Show.com, okay.
We'll take you straight to the Seed and Spark crowdfunding page. We're in our last week of crowdfunding right now, which is great.
And they're almost there. It's like, what you said, 74%?
We're at 64%.
Oh, 64,
funded.
sorry, 64%.
Yeah, 74% would be awesome.
Sorry,
but
64.
we need to get to at least 80% to keep any of the funds. And when we were looking at crowdfunding platforms, we were like, you know, they're your big ones like Kickstarter, Indiegogo. We really liked Seed and Spark because there is a level of accountability there. Like we don't have to necessarily hit 100% to be able to keep it, but nice. 80% is really high. Yeah. And we wanted to have that challenge, but also Seed and Spark, they're only film projects. They're not like products and other things that are crowdfunded through that platform.
Only film projects. So I mean, so it'd be like TV, like any kind of that stuff, anything like that. It would be a film type project.
Exactly.
Oh, that's amazing.
Digital series, short films, documentaries, that type of thing.
Okay.
And so what they do is, if you achieve a certain goal, like you get a certain number of followers, or you hit your 80% mark, you get greenlit. They will unlock certain perks for you that help you with your production, like discounts on camera rental that they've already talked to certain companies on your behalf for. So we really wanted to like work with a company that was super filmmaker friendly when it came to crowdfunding, and they support a lot of queer projects and indie projects as well. That's mostly the types of shows that you see inspired.
Well, that's also really amazing, the fact that's what they cater to, and so they've already worked with a lot of people in the community to kind of partner with all these things, and that's what's so great about it, is getting the LGBT community out there to more than just like these little small sets of people. The fact that they're working with so many other different aspects of it that they partner you with, I love that. It's like getting into people to know that, hey, we're here to do so much more for television film than just do these like little one-offs. And I'm so excited for what you're doing with this, because it's really bringing change to the television and film industry.
Thank you. I think one of the coolest things about this process too has been just kind of like reaching out to the community and like getting the community to know about the project. Right. And for us, we're like, it's a very early phase for us. We have season 1 of our show all written out.
Oh, fantastic.
And we shot a proof of concept trailer with some other actors that came in, and we were like, we need to give people an idea of what this is going to look like without filming the entire thing, because obviously we need the funds to be able to do that. So we shot a proof of concept video, and we're in the development phase right now. So we're like, to be able to let folks know that this is the project that we're working on and this is coming and this is happening.
Yeah.
Crowdfunding has really allowed us to do that, like to get the word out and to just like kind of get that fan group going. So
and it's really exciting too, because I love, so the clips you guys have up there are, I mean, they're brilliant. They're so cute. And they're just, I mean, there's just, again, the character descriptions you have under each one, I just like are priceless. And they're like, it's so much fun watching what you guys have already to see what's going to be coming.
Thank you.
So I'm like, I was doing this, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be so much fun.
Yeah,
like, this is so cute. I mean, again, it's great because, I mean, you make it like fun in a way without being like kitschy, but it's still like, I mean, it still makes people go like, ooh, this is gonna be good. Like, this is gonna be entertaining, and like, I'm gonna enjoy watching this. It's not gonna be some like, oh, I've seen this before. Like, it's like Bond redone. It's not. It's completely different. So I love that, especially the one chick's name. What's her name? Oh god, I'm spacey.
I know what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you say it though.
Well, tell me what it is so I can say it. I'll totally say it. It's something like pussy something.
Pussy amore.
Pussy amore. Yeah.
Okay, so no, we had a long conversation about this because this was when the Women's March was happening. We were kind of like,
okay,
like kind of thinking of our character names and whatnot, and you know the pink pussy hats were pussy power.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, this is kind of we're inspired by the character Pussy Galore from the Bond movies,
I love
right?
Pussy
And
Galore.
you're like, how can we be subversive with this character?
I totally see it.
Right? We're like, there's some folks feel really uncomfortable with the word pussy, and I completely understand.
Which cracks me up because
but I totally get it, and I think this is interesting because it depends on one's relationship with that word and how it's been maybe used at that person.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I see what you mean.
Yeah, so we were like, we don't want to kind of like lean into the stereotypes. Mm-hmm. We want to subvert the stereotypes. So even kind of thinking about like what kind of person. And I had a really interesting conversation with an actor friend, a woman who I had reached out to, and I was like, hey, do you want to play this character in our proof of concept video? And she, we had a long conversation about the name. Uh-huh. And I was really grateful for that conversation because I thought, this is going to really affect how we cast this character.
Right.
And she's the femme fatale of the of season
and
1.
She's hot too. She's a little bombshell on there. Yes.
Yeah, and we're like, but we are definitely going a little bit of a non-traditional route.
I like that though, but I mean, I do like the nod to. I mean, now that you say that, I totally I can see it. But I did love the fact that it was something a little bit edgier because I do agree people like take certain words and they like, especially pussy. Like Sarah Silverman has a whole spiel she does about how she hates the word pussy, and it's true. It's whatever the way that word's been pushed at them to where they're like, every now and then queer like freaks me out. Like I've been called because I've been bashed with it before, and so like when I hear queer, I'm like. But like here, everyone talks about queer culture, and it's like it's just about the queer community. But like from Texas, you hear that steer queer. Yeah. I mean, and it's just to me that rubs me the wrong way. I'd rather be called gay. Yeah. And so and a lot of people are like, no, I want to be called. I'm proud to be queer. It's like that. So I mean, I totally see what you mean by that because it is. It's a big deal for some people that it's very offensive because of again whatever the circumstances that's behind how they've been approached with that word. So I totally get it.
And I think that's the thing. It's like as we continue, it's like we want to keep inviting that conversation in, because the goal is not to be offensive or like racy in that way, like in a way that's problematic. Like that's definitely not what we want to do. We want to do it in a way that's smart, and like inviting conversation and inviting us to look at how people are portrayed in the media. And make smarter decisions.
But it's always good to push boundaries for sure. But I like the approach you guys are taking to where it's carefully and like concisely going up to the border and saying, you know what, how far can we go without being crass and rude and over the top, but still at least having fun with it, and towards at least people will get like a good kick out of it a little bit too. So I can totally see where you guys are being cognizant of making sure that you're not going obviously overboard. So this is, I mean, again,
Fingers crossed.
I'm still, I mean, again, you can't make everyone happy, and you're gonna piss someone off. I mean, that always happens, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate someone when it's like they do take risks. They do kind of make something at least edgy, and I mean, you don't want to make everything PC and boring and approved for all audiences. You wanted something that would kind of, like you said, incites a conversation, good or bad, and at least you've got people talking. Yeah. So with this whole crowdfunding aspect, you brought something here with us today.
Yeah.
So
are you up for this?
We're gonna do a 60-second saltine challenge. So
this is what this is. Okay, so crowdfunding is kind of like we're like, how can we have fun with this process? Right. So every time we hit a milestone with our crowdfunding campaign, we're doing like silly, goofy challenges. So we did like Ellen's dance there for one of them, which
I saw those videos. Those were great.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we didn't get it in time because she's actually having a dance challenge right now.
Darn.
We didn't get it in time for that, but we had so much fun just doing this.
My favorite one was the guy in the clothing store where you're just like,
he was just like in his phone for like 2 minutes. I was like, oh,
he didn't even see it. It was but I mean, your face. I mean, you were just like, you were letting him have it without him knowing that he's been had. It was perfect.
Thank you.
So what we do have to do with this?
Okay, so this one is we have to eat 6 saltines in 60 seconds. So you have a timer. Okay, cool.
I have a timer right here.
We got a couple of broken ones, so I'm gonna take 6, and I'll let you grab yours. All right. So this is a very hard thing to do, and we're gonna race to the finish line.
I don't know. I'm good at putting shit in my mouth. So.
Oh man, Enoch, that's it.
Ask the partner.
All right.
Okay.
You're better at I am than. All right.
That's true. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I can count.
All right.
6.
6. Got it. 6 whole ones. All right. Here we go.
All right. We're gonna ready.
All right. Now wait.
Oh shit. Get that.
All right.
Go. Oh, this sucks. I already hate it now. My mouth is so dry right now. 40 seconds. Wow. This is so bad. I'm not sweating.
I messed up last time.
I'm gonna give up. We're at 28 seconds.
Oh my god.
20 seconds. Fuck me. Alright. Oh, he's gonna drink. What? 10 more seconds? You wanna do 2 more seconds? Okay, no, we gotta pause. And done. Fuck.
It's impossible.
It's so fucking hard.
Alright.
If anyone can do that, you are a freaking gaping hole, ladies and gentlemen. Holy shit, talking mushrooms.
Okay.
Woo.
I had 2 left,
yeah,
but I do have a tear running down my face right now. I almost lost my shit right there. Right.
Oh, that is so fucking hard. I don't know why you would subject yourself to torture. Although, kids, if you're looking for something fun to do that instead of Tide Pods. Just saying.
So,
whew.
That brought in a couple of contributions, I will say.
That's pretty
We did it
awesome.
for the money. We were like, all right, let's earn some contributions there.
I'm sitting eating these all day. I'm fucking gross. But oh my god, that is so hard to do. As soon as you do one, all that moisture in your mouth, it's sucked up, gone, done. Whew, my Lanta. Okay.
All right, back to
the topic. So you guys are about 64% funded. You're trying to get to the other 80. They can go to agentofchangeshow.com to go and support. And when you guys get your funding, fingers crossed, everything, knock on wood. When do you guys think you'll be able to start actually doing production and actually getting it's written, but to get actually filming done and everything like that?
So what we want to do is, after this round of funding is done, so we wrote this in such a way where we were like, we could film it in Southern California.
Okay.
We're based here. Or, what if we actually filmed it in North Carolina?
Ooh.
So, I'm gonna keep drinking some water.
Okay.
But
I'm sweating.
North Carolina is my home state, but there's been a lot of like political controversy lately around like the trans community, and bathrooms, right? And
especially in North Carolina for sure.
Especially in North Carolina,
right?
And we're like, what would it take to film this project there? What kind of support could we get? But wouldn't it make an amazing story if they actually supported our show?
I mean, it would be phenomenal, yeah.
So we've been researching like the tax incentives and the programs and what they offer over there, and we've been playing with our budget a little bit to see if we can actually meet the requirements. So that's to be decided as of right now. There's certainly not our only option. We're looking at if we shot it for a much lower budget, what would it take? So I think there's not a clear answer, but I'd love to be shooting before the summer's over.
Okay, that makes sense. So I mean, goal is end of summer, like beginning end of summer kind of area, like July, August-ish, like depending on how, again, obviously how everything works out. I love the idea of taking this to a state with controversy, especially. I mean, I know the transgender bathrooms has been a big debate, especially over there, especially in schools. Especially in all the stuff around there. So I know, I mean, West Hollywood was one of the first places around here to go and say, hey, it's gender neutral, no one cares. Like, I mean, guys and girls use the same bathrooms anywhere around here. Why not just not make them a big deal? And I think a lot of people need to take direction from communities like this where they're like, hey, we support everyone. I mean, again, it's a single-use stall. Why do you need to designate whether it's male or female? Either one can use it. It doesn't matter. And I really love the fact that you just kind of trying to see if building up some press around it, saying, hey, this community that's usually kind of against the transgender community actually took a step forward and looked to help support a transgender run series for this. So what are you seeing a lot of positive reasons for you to get in there with all these incentives, or is it going to be a lot of work, do you think?
It's like these are two separate conversations.
Okay.
Like the film program right now, to me, is not where we'd want it to be for us.
Okay.
To have it make sense, but support can also look a number of different ways.
True.
The tax incentive program is a structure that takes a lot of legislative folks in there to rewrite the way the law is written, and that may not happen in time for us, but can there be communities of folks that help rally us to help us be able to shoot there that may not come in the form of a state tax incentive, but in some other way,
in some other form of a local incentive, or a charity does something or something of that nature.
Sure. Yeah. Or contributions.
Gotcha. So in-kind donations or something similar to
exactly.
that. Gotcha.
Exactly. I mean, if we're talking housing, transportation, catering, that type of thing, there are probably plenty of groups that help us make this happen over there. And for me, that's my home state, and also it's personal to me.
Exactly.
I grew up over there, and even though I was here, most of my physical transition took place here. I'm very much tied to people that I grew up with, or people that my family knows after having been there for 30 plus years, right? And when a person transitions, it's not just about their own personal transition; it's the family is transitioning too. So for my parents to say, with folks that they knew, okay, we have now 2 daughters and 1 son,
right?
And we support him in his process and his journey. For them to be able to do that,
that's phenomenal.
And to have folks in their community also say, okay, we don't have much experience with someone who's transitioned, or or exposure to the trans community, but we love you as a family and we're here for you.
That's
to have that be the narrative. I mean, that was our narrative.
Yeah.
And from a media perspective, that story doesn't get told.
Right.
The first thing people think when they hear North Carolina, they think, this backwards bathroom, which, yes, that's true. But I also think people don't know until they have the exposure. And then, and there are still assholes, for sure.
Oh, totally.
Can you say assholes?
Oh, you can say assholes.
Okay.
I say assholes constantly.
Oh, you did say it.
But it is. I mean, it's especially a state like that, and even an area like that where, I mean, you're right. Those stories of the actual positive side, because too many times the negative gets told, because that's again, what people kind of harp on the most, but
yeah.
the fact that it was a positive experience for you, the fact that your family was so supportive, and that the friends of the family and your basically your neighbors from North Carolina were also supportive as well.
Yeah.
Again, they were like, hey, I mean, we don't get it, but hey, we're here for you. We love you guys still, and everything's still good. So, I mean, that in there, I mean, that's, honestly, I feel that's the better story to tell than the doom and gloom of someone that gets kicked out, that someone gets disowned, that someone gets, like, dismissed from their family. I'd rather hear the story of, hey, these families actually doing what we want our other families to do, and accepting and loving and supporting and just being there for you. And it's like, I'd rather hear that story 10 times over than the bad ones.
Yeah, same here. And it's like, you know, whether or not we end up shooting there,
right?
There are other states that have like awesome tax incentives, so
right.
we could look around. But like, whether or not we end up doing it there, that's the goal for a show like this.
Yeah.
You know, to this type of character is a type of guy or character that is relatable and recognizable.
Totally.
Immediately, we know the secret agent genre.
Yep.
It's like
yep.
across like the demographic quadrants, like folks relate to this,
yeah,
right? And we're like, how can we do this in a way where folks feel like, you know, we're gently educating them on the trans community. Yeah. So his transness is not at the forefront of the show.
Yeah,
he is actually fighting crimes in food and agriculture.
Yeah,
you know, but he's a trans guy, and that's also just a part of his life that doesn't go away, that comes up in certain situations. Yeah. So we bring it in, we bring his identity in, because it's just, this is who he is.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up, because we had another guest on here a while back, Ryan Casada, who's a musician.
Yeah,
love him, Ryan. And he said almost the exact same thing too. It's like, he's like, I'm not transgender, I just happen to be transgender. I'm a musician, I'm an artist, I'm this. That is who I am.
Yeah.
I just happen to be a transgender man.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same way with his character. I mean, it's like, he's a secret agent, he's a spy, he like does all this cool stuff. Oh yeah, and he just happens to be a transgender man. And I think really that's what I respect more about when people are talking about their identity in their community. It's like, you're not throwing this thing into someone's faces that they're like, oh, it's a big thing, well, he's transgender. It's like, who cares? I'm a person, I'm a secret agent, oh, I just happen to be a transgender man. And I love that narrative more, because I guess it makes it more relatable. It makes it people where they're like, oh, okay, so, I mean, I can totally identify with him a lot more than if they felt like it was a protest or something activistic in nature. And I really love this this ideal that you have with this character. And it's, first of all, it fits you so perfectly with the little clips I've seen from that and all the pictures.
Thank you.
I mean, it really, you have the whole like suave down there when you're going there, you're looking to the little down gun barrel, and you're just like, yeah, I'm here. So I think it fits with your personality so well, and I think also the fact that people can relate to you in that regard, it really makes it so much an easier character for people to just be so happy with. And I think that's what's going to be so amazing for what people are going to see with it. So I can't wait. And I want to talk about some of the other roles you've done, because you've got some very broad range on your acting career, especially from going from theater to television and film. So let's talk about the differences between the two, because a lot of people don't realize acting on stage is 100% different than acting in front of a camera. What was what was your favorite thing about acting on stage, and then what was your favorite thing about acting in front of a camera?
Oh, easy. Acting on stage, like, I felt like I really got to build friendships.
Okay.
You know, with most of the theater gigs I've done so far, is we have like rehearsals for maybe a month or weeks or whatever it is, and you show up day after day working with the same group of actors and playing, and so yeah, I really feel like I came out of the theater world being able to like build solid friendships, which was important.
I can totally see that.
It's a creative process, right? And there's a lot of nurturing that needs to happen, and theater kind of allows for that in a way that on camera, for me, the nurturing happens before you get to set. Yeah, you've got to kind of nurture yourself, right? You know, as you're prepping for the character, because once you show up on set, you have to be ready. Yeah. And so I think that was the biggest difference to me. Yeah. Was
the whole, like, you have all these people helping build up your character with you, and whereas TV, you're just like, do it yourself, be ready to go and done, and then that's it. Yeah. Did you feel it was kind of very quick on a lot of the acting stuff you got to do for TV and film than you did for the theater, or was there kind of like, I'm trying to think how way I want to say this. Was it more
did they? I mean, was it the same amount of time, or was it just like you do one acting gig, you'd have to go to the next film one, and you do the next one, or was the theater one more spaced out?
In terms of the theater one, in terms of being on set or the rehearsal?
Being on set, yeah, being on set and rehearsal.
Well, yeah, I think, okay, so the theater stuff, right? It's like, when one books like a theater gig, generally, it's, for me, I didn't have tons of time to be pursuing other
so you were
acting work.
You were dedicated to that.
Yeah, I think it was just the nature of the projects I was on, is the rehearsals took time.
Got it.
You know, hours, and you know, it was a consistency of, you know, a period of time where that's all I had the time to focus on between, and I really like to get into it.
Okay.
You know, it's like chunks of dialogue that you have to like deliver.
Yeah.
And there's no breaks, there's no cuts, there's nothing. So it's like I really want to just stay in it and focus when I was working on a theater show. With on camera, you know, that's what training is about.
Okay.
You know, taking classes. I mean, it should not be underestimated at all. I worked with some really, really amazing coaches out here that just kind of ended up finding, somehow just ended up finding like wonderful folks to work with, and so that kind of helped me with like on-camera training.
Gotcha. Okay.
And knowing how to navigate like the on-camera acting world and life. Yeah.
What would you say is the hardest aspect of on-camera acting, or the most difficult thing to accomplish?
Oh, it's overall it's a challenge. I think remembering to deliver your best performance take after take after take.
Got it. Okay.
No matter how many takes you've done.
Yeah.
You know, it can be tiring.
Yeah.
So I just said that line. I just said that line. Now 20 times ago I just said that line. You know, but like just continuing to pour as much energy as you can and soul as you can into no matter how many takes you have to go.
Yeah.
I remember I did a commercial. I won't say which one yet.
Okay.
But I was with someone in the spot, and and the other actor was requested to do it. I mean, I don't know how many times we did it, and she leaned in. She was like, "What do you think about this?" It's like, you're doing the same every time. I don't understand, you know. And finally, the last time she did it, which was the same as the first, 18 times she had done it. I mean, they were good. They were good with that. So I don't know, maybe something was whatever it was, but it's like every time, and I gotta, really just being there for your other actors too.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't even on camera in that one; it was her take.
Yeah.
But being on and really giving to them and being generous, it's not that that's the hard part per se, but I think that's a very important part of it.
Got it.
My
favorite one that I saw was your Google one.
Oh.
I loved that one. It was super cute.
Thank
and
you.
Also, it was just like, you didn't say anything throughout the whole thing, but your facial expressions were, first of all, were priceless.
Thank you.
And with that one, because that was a very long commercial, that was a couple minutes that you had to do that one. Because with it being so many different takes from so many different areas and like so many different things you're doing, because basically it's you like, you're wanting to get your life together and you're using Google phone to do all these things to help plan and schedule and all that stuff with it.
Yeah.
How was that experience for you working, especially for a professional company like Google, to do this ad? What was your experience like with that?
Oh, this is such a cool... I'm glad that you asked this because I really wanted to tell you about this whole experience. So, I still have crackers in my mouth.
Me too.
Alright, so this was my first on-camera project that I booked. Right?
Okay.
It was a commercial for Google Goals, which is an app that helps you basically schedule your life, right? And they cast one person for this 2-minute commercial that they were going to put on YouTube.
Okay.
And so I went in for the first audition, and there was 40 plus guys there.
Oh wow.
And you got to get a little bit. You have to get out of your head.
Yeah.
Because the first thing that happens is that comparison of looking around at everybody else.
Yeah. I can see that.
So they brought 5 of us into this room, at a time, and the casting associate was like, okay, you're gonna come into the space, hit the mark, you look over there, you wave to your friends, you look at that blue tape on the wall, and your boss is saying something, you gotta react to her, then you look back at your friends, then you get some flowers. She gave us the whole commercial in one go, and to be honest with you, I forgot half the stuff. So they tell you what to do, and then they're like, okay, got it. All right, now everybody leave, and we're gonna bring you in one by one, and you got to do it. We're like, okay. So I was like, then I was outside. I was having conversations with other actors. Like, hey, Scott, do you remember this part we were supposed to do? And then I went in there, and I completely forgot some of the cues. So I think when she was calling the cues, I had this blank look on my face, and they somehow really liked that, you know. And they were like, oh, "That's the guy. Look at those brilliant like facial expressions." But I was like, oh, shit. and so I came in for the callback, but it was about 6 of us.
Yeah.
Then they told us, you know what? We're gonna cast this commercial 2 ways.
Okay.
We're going to cast this with a female love interest at the end and with a male love interest at the end. So basically what happens in the course of the commercial, your character, right, at the beginning of the spot gets broken up with.
Right.
Starts using Google Gold to change his life, turn his life around, and at the end of the commercial, he has a new love interest.
Yeah.
So we're going to cast both a male and female for that.
Oh, okay.
role. And they, you know, they were very upfront, the casting folks, and they're like, if anyone has an issue with that, that's totally fine. But you should probably go ahead and take off.
Yeah.
And of the 6 of us that stayed, 2 guys left.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't feel comfortable being portrayed as gay. Or possibly being portrayed as gay, right?
Dumb.
So I was like, you know, for this company that's like the biggest company in the world, to use their brand image to say something about love and about identities and about how it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like I was so on board with it that I was so close to telling them, I'm trans and this is awesome and this is great. But I was like, no.
Hire me.
They didn't need to know if I was trans or not trans. Yeah. I mean, they could have easily looked me up if they wanted to and decide. But I'm like, if the character wasn't trans or wasn't cis or it wasn't, you know, so there was nothing for me to say except just do my best performance in the callback. And then I ended up booking the role. And then when we were actually on set, they did film it with both the male and female actors. And then they decided in post which ending they wanted to have. And of course, they chose the male love interest. So the character, by the end of the commercial, if you didn't realize at the beginning that he gets broken up with another man, then you find out at the end. And the YouTube comments were like, you know, it was interesting to see that because I never... You know, it was my first on-camera role, and we had over 1.3 million
Oh, I can
views on the
imagine.
spot.
Yeah.
And very polarizing comments.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and you know, definitely not surprising at all. But I was so happy that they chose to have the male love interest at the end. I think they did a great job on the spot.
Exactly. And I mean, it really, and it's like you said, I mean, the fact that a company like Google, like that, takes the time to really say, hey, love is love, no matter who or what it is. It's all love.
Yeah.
We are here to love and support each other, and we're, as a company, here to love and support whoever they choose to love and support.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I really did appreciate that, and that's why I thought it was really cute, too, as well. Because you didn't know, I mean, at all. I mean, it kind of really, they played it out so nicely where, again, they weren't making a big deal about it. Yeah. They just, at the end, it was just like, oh, and he has a new boy. And it's like, done. And you're like, okay, cool. And I think I love the fact that, again, it was this, and it kind of goes back to, like, even how an Agent of Change is the same thing. It's what it is, and it just happens to be this. And it just happens to, I mean, it really doesn't make it such a big deal. And I think the more that people just kind of leave it to where it's like, hey, this is just normal. This is just every day. This is just something that is what it is, and there's nothing else extra added to it. I think that's when people are more apt to be like, oh, okay, I can see that. And then they kind of move on, and then they don't, like, sit there and, I mean, granted, you're going to have the crazy people that are, like, so against anything different. But, I mean, I love it when they just make it to where it's like, this is just normal, everyday life. This is just something that 2 guys just happen to do. And it's love.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. It's like you're never gonna change everyone.
Right.
It's not, the world isn't really designed like that we are all gonna agree on a particular issue or topic.
For sure.
You know, but I keep thinking, I'm like, is it gonna be a little bit safer for that next generation of folks? You know, and I came into acting in like 2014 at a time when I think we were just starting to have the conversation around trans people in media. There have been trans people as actors in media for a long time that may not have felt comfortable to be openly trans.
Oh, 100%.
Right? And And so I was coming into it at a time when Orange is the Black was coming up, and Transparent was coming up, and I think that really, you know, as someone who was new to my own trans identity and also new to the acting world, like seeing other trans folks or trans characters, you know, in like our society talking about trans people, like, and acknowledging that we are here and that we exist, like, was a really, like, it was huge for me.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the thing, too. A lot of people don't realize, especially in this community, the transgender community has been fighting for LGBT rights long before a lot of gays and lesbians have been. I mean, you guys have been at the forefront of a lot of civil rights activism, helping to promote the community in so many different ways, and I do feel like a lot of people do not recognize how much our trans brothers and sisters have done to really push forward the fight for, equality for all. And I really think more people should pay attention to the fact that, it's so amazing. And like you said, they think you're so right that they've been so afraid to kind of be out there and own their truth and really go. But I think my favorite one was definitely Transparent. It made it so natural. It made it just so feel like it was just like, again, this is just a family. This is just an everyday, normal family. And I think the more that we see that in television and film where people are portraying it as a normal family, more people are going to stop being like, oh, this is crazy, oh, this is weird, oh, this is different. They're going to be like, no, it's just a normal, everyday family, just like anybody else, just like everyone else. And I think, like, you're right, we're starting to get more to that point. It's slowly changing because, especially in the television film industry, it's a white man's game, and it's just like you have to deal with all these people with these weird old ideals from thousands of years ago, these dinosaurs. But it's slowly changing, and we're just glad to have individuals like you that are coming in and bringing media to everyone to see that hey, we can do something fun, we can do something different, and we can show that we can have diversity without it being something that people need to fight about. And I'm so excited for Agent of Change. I cannot wait for it to come out. This will be so great. And make sure you go check him out over there on Shaan, and it's Shaan Dasani, Dasani.
That was
yes.
Great. That was great. Yeah.
Boom! Facebook, social media, you can go check him out and get all the information, and then go agentofchangeshow.com and help support this amazing, amazing series, which I'm so excited. Awesome. I cannot wait. I'm a big fan. I love when it's like spy movies and all this fun stuff with like getting like agents and like secret stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. I'm such a nerd.
Oh,
I do.
Man, maybe make an appearance. I'm getting ideas now.
Ooh, yay! Bring up the game with Carol.
Yeah.
I'm down to be a villain. I'm so bossy, bitchy, and bougie. I will do it.
You have to bring the crown and the fan, though. That's the only way this is going to work.
I'm so excited. We want to do a special thank you to GayLifeLA.com for helping make this possible, as well as Kings Road Apartment Homes for this lovely space you see today. Thank you again so much, Shaan, for being here and sharing your amazing story with us, but also, just this fun show. I cannot wait.
Thank you, Enoch. Yeah, it was great to be here.
And
thanks for having saltines with me.
Oh, yeah! I love sucking things in my mouth, so we're good with that. We will see Valerie here soon, so we're going to get her on board, I swear, when she's not super crazy busy. Next week we'll have a really fun and amazing artist come on here as well, who will be giving us some musical little tunes, which we'll surprise you with later. So thank you so much, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Check you later.
Thanks.
Bye!